All right. Good morning, everybody. Wall Street Jesus. Another Saturday sweep series. We are into the heart of August. Pretty much just getting through, well, some of the bigger names, anyhow. We're pretty much done with earnings here. We still have some names left, but through the heart of earnings season as well, and getting closer to that period of time we've been discussing the last 2 weeks to prepare for as far as the market environment's concerned. Again, that seasonally can be just a real pain in the ass as far as volatility and just in general. Again, I really don't know the reasons for it, but it seems like everything finds a way to go down into late August into September. Um, you know, Terrorist attacks, knock on wood. Hopefully, nothing of that magnitude here. But government shutdowns, they all seem to linger and come to a head around this time of year, and it makes sense because you have a lot of the big boys that just are getting back to the desk after the summer and start to focus maybe a little more closely to some of the concerns out there. But you definitely heard me say when I was managing money, client money, it would be a time I would look to trim down, get light as a feather, even more so when things looked bullish going into this time of year. I felt better if we were already in the midst of some sort of pullback or correction. I felt a little better about heading into that time. But when we were rocking and rolling and things looked extremely bullish, and I would just use the strength as an opportunity to trim down and take down my risk and be more concerned with what I have at risk than what I was trying to make as far as profit from. So we got started a little bit earlier this year, and we'll talk about that. Also, I mentioned right before we started the webinar, I also want to discuss, I want to focus a little bit more on the market. We'll talk about some names, but a little bit more on the market because I noticed that even this past week, the markets were volatile and we experienced a little bit of turbulence. I can see already traders and their outlook and their unrealistic expectations from buying pullback. So I want to try to concentrate on the market, take a lot of market-related questions, and then we can go into some names. I'll go over some of the names that caught some activity Friday. Friday was a pretty interesting day. And other than that, it's been a light week, a lot of protection and that sort of stuff. So we'll dive into that. Let me get this out of the way. And again, any of this stuff, if you have any questions on any of the products or courses, you can hit up either myself or Lucci is probably the better man to talk about, and he'll be able to answer any of your questions. They got this master course. I got a couple of messages to relay over to you guys. The scholarship applications are closed, all right, and we're going to announce the winner, I think they mentioned on Tuesday after the close, all right, and you'll get an email about that with a sign-up link. All right, and the next live master course that's starting on Tuesday after Labor Day. Okay, and I think the promotion they got going is 33% off the first 10 students that sign up. Okay, and this is basically, I told you guys about this, I showed you this last week as well. Master course Lucci's doing on everything. It's got flow, Lucci strategies, writing strategies as far as writing and selling premium, tape reading, how Lucci uses both the flow and tape reading as far as his strategy in the market. So it's pretty in depth, and I'll throw the link here so you guys, again, you can probably see it with your own eyes a lot better than I would explain it. So hang on a second. There you go. So that's the link there. All right. And like I said, if you have any questions, you can hit me up on Twitter or Lucci, and we'll be able to help you out. Also, because I got a couple questions about this. I usually just leave it for the last minute of the day, so let me just quickly share. If you go to wallstreetjesus.com, that's where you can find anything we speak about today and discuss regarding strategies and what we do, what we're looking for on a day-to-day basis. All right, your best bet's probably to go to the strategy section up here, and we got a couple like short little blog write-ups. Okay, that'll probably answer any questions you have as far as strategy and how we try to utilize any of this information we talk about every Saturday here. All right, and as far as what we offer, premium packages, you got the whole ball of wax here. The promotion for the Saturday Sweep Series is 50% off the first month, and then it's $225 every month after that. You get everything in there, included the private Twitter feed. I got a lot of questions about that. The premium package, if you're a part of the Steam Room, the Twitter feed is free. There's no added expense. So it's included in the membership there, okay? There was a little bit of confusion because we do offer the Twitter feed. We spun it off into its own entity, okay? That's $59.99 a month, and that's just for the Twitter feed, okay? You could scroll down to the bottom of wallstreetjesus.com. You'll find that here. But the Twitter feed is included in the membership because I got a couple questions about that last week. All right. And again, that's wallstreetjesus.com. Rather than me yap about it, your best bet is just to, when you're bored, go take a look. And you can see, again, any question you have there. All right. Now, let me get this out of the way here, and we can get to some of the good stuff. Hold on. Okay. All right. So, yeah, so we've been talking about, where we were as far as the market as a whole going into early August. It's always good to look ahead and prepare. And, again, sometimes you see it in flows, sometimes you won't. A lot of times you won't get a heads up, and you just got to be ready for certain things. If they don't come around, that's fine, but the game is all about this game in particular, just like any game out there, but this game in particular, it's all about being prepared. Even just the simple logistics of trading, before you even hit the button to buy or sell, you have to have some sort of plan, right? You got to know where, if you're not right and the name doesn't do what you're expecting it to do, where you're going to get out as far as the loss is concerned, and not be pissed off with yourself, not be stressed out about it. Okay, these are the things you try to do ahead of time, so you don't get stressed out and have emotions play a big part of what you're doing in this game. When emotions are controlling what you do in this game, you're in big, big trouble. Okay, and a lot about what we do and what we look at on the sentiment side. Okay, for sentiment on a day-to-day basis, we're looking to play off the emotions of retail traders. We're looking to take advantage of that, right? You heard me say, when retail sentiment is extremely bearish, that is a time you want to start looking for longs, because usually that's right around a good time you should be buying. All right, so again, you want to be able to plan ahead of time, so nothing really, there's enough surprises out there in general, okay? You don't need to add any more surprises. You can take care of certain things, and your trading needs to be planned out ahead of time. All right. So we spoke about, actually the last two Saturdays, we spoke about heading into August and the approach we should take. All right. And if you remember, the market was at new highs. Everything looked great. Okay. You had, names like Netflix knocking the ball out of the park earnings-wise, Facebook, just in general, the market was pretty strong. And, we spoke about how seasonally, when you head into this period of time and nothing but good things seem to be surrounding you, that's the time to be a little cautious. Be a little quicker we spoke about that, right? Instead of trying to let your winners run, if that's a thing you do, trim, be a little more aggressive as far as taking profit, on the upside. You know, that would be one of the things you could have done as we head into the month of August at highs. Another thing was we spoke about, you know, maybe it's position sizing. Maybe instead of holding, you know, let's say you're trading the options on the call side, and instead of holding a basket of 4 or 5 calls, maybe you're trimming that down to 1 or 2 positions. So this way, if you do get caught, you're giving back some of your profits you made, okay, but not a big enough chunk that'll wipe out, you know, a lot of that rally. That's the last thing you want to do. You want to hang on to your profits. That's the most important thing, okay? And, you know, fast forward, we're here now where the markets are a little jittery, right? We have volatility finally showing a pulse. Okay, that was dead. That's another thing that was a little bit concerning going into this time of year seasonally. Okay, and now we're pretty much at the state where we know we're in a different market. Okay, again, that doesn't translate into a huge crash. Okay, may not even be that deep of a correction, but just your normal eyeballs logically will tell you that the market is acting different right now. Okay, for me, I see it and have been seeing it throughout earnings season in flow. Okay, usually when we get into earnings, flow is pretty choppy, messy to begin with. Okay, this earnings season in particular, flow was a complete disaster. Disaster. Okay, and I don't mean disaster bearish. I mean disaster as far as sloppy. Okay, it pretty much was screaming uncertainty out of that flow. For every call buyer, there was a put buyer. There was no trend. There was no clear picture. That for me, when I throw words like flow is a disaster or a menagerie or a mess, you know, I say mashed potatoes, whatever term I put on it. Usually, what I mean by that is I can't get a read off flow. Okay, and that's ultimately what I try to do on a day-to-day basis. I'm looking at the aggressive order flow coming in throughout the day. All right, and my main goal is to try to put the pieces together and figure out a clear picture, in a sense, of what the smart money is aggressively speculating on in the options market. Okay, when there is no clear picture, there is no clear picture. There's not necessarily a trade out of that at all times. Okay, and a lot of times, flow would just keep me to the point where I do nothing. And I think that in itself is probably the biggest positive out of flow for me. You know, when flow is sloppy, choppy, that's usually a time during the day where I sit on my hands and just watch and see how the action plays out. All right, so there was a lot of that this earnings season. Okay, and then this past week, we finally, I mean, I gotta admit, and you guys know that the put action doesn't impress me. There's put action in every bull market. All right, people protect their long positions. Normal. I ignore 99% of it. This past week, we actually saw some doozies on the put side. Okay, I can't deny it. We saw some doozies. We also saw some very interesting bets on volatility. There's this one guy out there, and we've been watching him for a while. He was actually underwater for a good maybe 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks. He comes in, it seems like 3 times a week, and plays UVXY calls. Okay, Jan calls. And he buys the Jan $1 calls. Okay, Jan $1 deep in the money calls. And what we realized he's been doing is because of volatility being so suppressed, you know, depressed, there was no juice on those calls. And what I mean by that is he basically didn't have to pay anything for time. So if UVXY was at $30 at the time and he bought the dollar calls, he paid $31 even dead even. Okay, so in other words, his break even, was exactly what he was paying for those calls, exactly where the price of the ETF was. So, we continuously saw him come in, and for the majority of times he was probably just building up a position, looking to swing the position. And now he's just been actually coming in and day trading these Jan calls. I kid you not, day trading. We noticed him flip a couple of times. One time we didn't realize we happened to check open interest the next day. They weren't there. And then we opened our eyes the next day to see if we saw him flip. And he did flip. All right. So basically he was buying like the UVXY Jan calls. He was paying 33, and then he'll sell them at 38.50 later in the afternoon. And there's been nice movement in this thing. So there's a lot of things we're seeing in the flow now that we usually don't see when it's a clear bullish trend. Okay, and logically we could just look at price and see that anyway. All right. Also, we've been seeing SPY and Q puts in size. Okay, I mean real size, and I'm not talking blocks either. I'm talking sweepers. Okay, so that always catches my eye. But here's the thing: as I mentioned to all the members who are in the steam room, the reason I don't want to get too hung up on any of that is because 1 week of solid call sweeper activity can wipe out all of that. You understand? And that's one of the reasons why I try not to focus, well, I don't even focus on the short side at all in bull markets. Because as soon as you get wrapped up into some of the bullish activity, I mean the bearish activity out there, you may miss that incredible long opportunity and setup. Okay, so that's why I want to stress you don't necessarily want to get hung up on the bearish activity and all the bearishness right now. You can, and people, a lot of times they misinterpret that. Because let's say, for example, Thursday, okay? Thursday the markets were selling hard, right? Where is it here? Let me go to an hourly here. Thursday was the 17th, right? So basically what we saw Thursday, the market opened, okay, and I posted this on Twitter. You guys caught that, but the market opened up and the flow was just, again, horrible. Just mixed, nothing, no call buying, nothing that really piqued my interest. All of a sudden we started seeing some VXX call sweeper activity. Then all of a sudden we started to see the size come into SPY, IWM, QQQ puts, okay? And at that time, the market didn't roll over yet. This was like it started around 10 o'clock in the morning. All right. So when I say I don't want you to concentrate on shorting the markets, if you're looking for an intraday opportunity and looking to play the put side, okay, and that's something you're interested in, that's fine. What I'm saying is you don't want to get all hung up on that activity, because what it's going to do, it's going forward, because what it's going to do, it's going to create a bias. All of a sudden, you're going to start making money on the short side, on the put side, and now you're going to think every day's a holiday on the put side. Where that was one of the rare exceptions, where the market didn't really fall apart yet. You could almost see it happening, and then all of a sudden, the SPY, QQQ, IWM put sweepers came in size, and that happened to be a catalyst. All right, so again, if you're looking to be nimble, and on the short side you always have to be even more nimble, that's a different story. What I'm saying is, if you haven't had success on the short side, then leave it alone. Now's a perfect time to sit, relax, stay light, be in cash when you see nothing you like, and allow the market to set up. That's what this game is all about, allowing the stuff you find success with set up. But I started to see it this week already, where a lot of traders, they think they have to take action on everything they see. Okay, my point in telling you about this day in particular, if you're an active day trader, or you like I said, you're looking to play the put side for that day and let it ride or something like that, that's a different story. Okay, maybe that kind of setup was worth it for you. But if you're a player who likes to swing over the course of a month or two, that's this type of setup is not for you, and you're probably better off right now sitting and waiting for an opportunity on the long side to set up. All right, but I saw a lot of that, and even on the long side, guys, I've been seeing a lot of that too. And what I mean by that is, let me tell you already, okay? And because I hate when I give the wrong impression and people think I'm flip-flopping on what I feel the market's going to do. I have no idea. Let me just put that out there right from the get-go, okay? I don't make market calls. Trust me. I'm at the point in my career where I know nobody can predict markets, okay? Nobody. So when I sound bullish, okay, that usually means, I'm talking about this environment now, that usually means that sentiment's extremely bearish, and I'm looking for call sweepers to set up a quick trade, a squeeze. Okay, that's not to say I feel the bottom's in. Okay, that's not to say I think that the market's going to rip to new highs in 2 weeks. And the reason I bring that up is I see a lot of traders out there thinking that just because there's bearish sentiment into weakness here, that they can just be comfortable with their long positions and let them run because they're thinking there's huge upside from that entry. You still have to, if you're a trader, okay, and that's the definition of trading, and if you're trading options, you can be quick, okay? You can buy calls into weakness Friday morning and then sell that squeeze that comes. If that's not a style you're comfortable with, then relax. It's better than going in on and trying to get long a market where there's some decent selling around, the rally's not enough, and then getting run over. So you got to have realistic expectations for the environment you're in. And I think right now, the environment we're in is that the market, we could see it already. We see it in flow. We see it in flow already, and it's just been a couple of days. Thursday was the sell-off, right? There wasn't a call buyer to be found. All Thursday, I kid you not. You can ask members. I couldn't find anything to trade. I was dying to trade something into weakness. You guys know that. There was literally not a clean call sweeper to be found, okay? So, a lot of us who play the long side sat on our hands. A couple of people were in, VXX calls and some puts, and Lucci nailed the put. But, that's something they look to do, and they're going to be quick and lock in their profits, of course. Okay, and then Friday morning, we came in to the session with a high put the call. The retail sentiment stuff I look at a nice bearish extreme, and what we were looking for was any sort of bullish activity to come into Friday morning's weakness, because we actually were red Friday morning yesterday, and that would be our trigger to start looking to get long for a squeeze. Okay, and then lo and behold, we happen to get lucky. The market squeezed. Now, granted, the market close looked like crap, but you got to understand that was I think it was like a 20 handle move, right? If I'm not mistaken, right here. From this period to here, what is that? 24, 20-ish, 24. Yeah, let's call it even 15 safe. Okay, so if you're an active trader, that's what we're trying to focus on now. And again, if you're not comfortable with that, there's nothing wrong. I sound like a broken record, but I want to stress it. That doesn't mean you have to trade. All right, because what happens is if you're not looking to take these profits, and they're decent profits, you can't tell me that you're not okay with these profits, then they're unrealistic expectations. I mean, there were a couple names that I think Lucci traded Tesla and killed it. We saw, I think it was, I didn't trade it, so I can't. I think it was weekly Teslas. By the way, Friday morning, not to jump around, but Friday morning, the majority of the activity that we saw was all in August expiration, expiring Friday. So think about that. They were buying the weakness Friday morning in stuff that was expiring the same day. So, what does that really signal to us? They were playing a squeeze that day. So, and again, the reason I bring it up is I don't want people, they see some bullish activity to come into weakness, and they're thinking all of a sudden it's a major bottom. That's not what it means. That's not what it means. Okay? And I think we're going to have at the least a period like this. A period like this. If this market gets uglier from here quicker, I think we're going to be closer. That may end up a good thing for those of you sitting in cash, because we'd probably be closer to a bottom in a lot shorter time frame. But what I think, in my personal opinion, again, not forecasting markets, but looking at what I see as far as the velocity of the flow right now, how quick it's moving, and the sentiment stuff that we look at, there's going to be a lot of this where the markets will sell. They look like they're going to roll over, fall off a cliff, and then boom, you're going to get a 30 handle squeeze. And then that squeeze is going to wash out 15 handles. So it's almost going to be, the volatility is going to be there for now. And then we'll see what happens. So the way to combat that is, one, don't chase squeezes, right? That's the last thing you want to do, is chase a squeeze. Okay? And more importantly, when you see weakness, for me, it's flow. Okay? Like, I look at, that's another thing I wanted to make clear. Like, I look at all the sentiment stuff. Okay? And I love that stuff. I'm fascinated by that stuff. Okay? I mean, the emotions is what makes markets, right? So, but don't get me wrong. If I see put sweepers dominating the wise guy activity I'm looking at, I know for damn sure I'm not just going to go in there and try to find something to buy just for the sake of it. But what that signals to me, sentiment being so bearish, is that once that flow turns, there should be a really nice squeeze out of it. That's what it signals to me. And yes, I'm day trading, and a lot of people, take that as, scalping. But when you're in this type of period now, there's some big moves intraday, and you're probably better off day trading if you get your move. When the market was grinding higher every single day, I had to pull teeth to try to make money. Honestly. I was pulling, because one, there were sweepers in the same names every given day. So obviously they're not going to have as much of an impact. And, you get a little gap up in the morning, the market would just sit there all day. Now you get these big moves where something that took 2 weeks for you to see that type of move in XYZ, you're going to see it maybe in 2 hours. And, like I said, Lucci and the gang, they caught this Tesla right off the morning. This is a big move if you're trading options. So I think that's something, again, depending on what type of trader you are. If you're trading calls, it's something you could look to take advantage of. Day trading options is the most difficult thing already, okay? Because what happens is, you're day trading options in an environment we were just in with not much volatility, okay? You need a big move for it to be worth it. You can't just buy a name like hypothetically a Facebook and hope to see 30 cents to the upside and make money on those calls. You need a big move. And now you have the volatility to see those moves, if you wait for the right situations. So there's good and bad. For the swing trader right now, it's a time to maybe chill out and take it easy. You just had your time. The market went up every damn day. Yeah, now this is for the nimble, the active players who are looking to take advantage of these, these intraday moves. And you got to be able to adjust to that environment. Let me show you, because those of you who don't know, where the heck is my, hang on one second, bear with me. Oh, I think I posted it on my regular Twitter. Let me go there, hold on. Just in case you guys are wondering. How far back? I got to scroll back. Oh, this is the guy I was telling you about. This is the UVXY guy. A lot of you guys know already, but for those of you who don't. So look what he does. Okay, so basically, this might have been the one he flipped. He flipped a couple of them. But basically, he bought these on $33.75, and I think he sold them at 39 and change. Or, yeah, 39 and change. Something like that. Yeah, so that's what he's doing. And look at, I mean, big money. So even, that's another thing. Okay, I'm glad I showed. That's even telling us how quick players are looking to be, right? He's flipping Jan deep in the money calls. Here it is. So this was the Thursday morning. You can see on the bottom there, the Thursday of the day. Okay, so yeah, here's the 10 o'clock guy. Way out of the money puts. Again, I don't even care about the bet. I really don't even care. Like 221 October, I know it's a disaster. Okay, realistic, I have no idea, but I'm not concerned with that. All I know is he swept those for 1.2 mil. Okay, if that, you're like, oh, all right, it was one bet. Maybe he's drunk. Then this guy comes and sweeps 3.8 mil worth of IWM puts. I mean, for me, I'm looking like IWM is already, me personally, I'm saying, like IWM has already been beat up. I'm looking for a bottom there. So then there's a $4 million put sweeper. Again, we don't know his true intent. But now that's 2 missiles. And then there were a bunch of Qs. This is one of them. The August 25, 139 put. So basically from 10 to 1020, boom, 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 boom. That's right in this span here. All right, so again, maybe I didn't short. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to bullshit you. I didn't short. I didn't buy puts. A lot of guys in the room did. I didn't buy puts. So, but what this, and I members could vouch, what I said immediately after I saw this pattern of sweeper activity come in, that's it. I'm done for the day. Seriously. I'm not even going to try right now. I'm going to sit back and I want to make sure the flow turns before I even start looking to buy any weakness. And lo and behold, the flow never turned. There was literally put sweeper after put sweeper after put sweeper, but even more concerning than that, nobody buying. Nobody buying. You know, we were in a buy the dip market. Sweepers would come in. We were begging for weakness. There was no weakness. Remember we were talking about that? There's no pullbacks anymore. As soon as there's a little bit of red, sweepers would come and gobble it up and you'd be green in 10 minutes. Lo and behold, there happened to be no buying that day. So, you know, like I said, if you're trying to use these alerts and predict what the market's going to do 2 months from now, you're going to get in big trouble. That's not the point. The point is, you use it as a guide, and it gives you an idea of what type of environment you may be in at the current time. Who cares if, if you're a swing trader and you can't be this active because you can't be around a computer, or maybe you're not comfortable, it's not one of your strengths. I wouldn't dare tell you to change that. I would just say, relax then. Take it easy. Take it easy. Let the market do what it needs to do. And eventually, there will be a fantastic setup that comes out of this. Who knows? Are we in one of these? One of these into the election? Time will tell. But right now, things are going so quick, and the flow is pretty crazy too. So you don't want to try to be a hero. And I can't, listen, I understand if you can't sit in cash. I'm a degenerate too, so I can understand. Just play nice and easy. That's it. There's big enough moves out there. Play nice and easy, and do not chase green. That's all I can tell you. All right. So let's look at some of the names, and two reasons why I'm not getting too excited about the names. One, the action in the individual names has been nothing impressive. You guys heard me say that last week, if you remember. Procter & Gamble, PG, was probably the best looking activity we saw. Charter, that was before that. Several buyers there. The COL, which caught some news. And then this week was Fold, that biotech. Was probably the best action of the week, goes to tell you the type of week we had. FOLD. All right. And we had a couple decent trades. The paychecks, I don't know if you guys played that, but basically we had a flurry of call sweeper activity that came in. Where was that? That was earlier in the week. So I think that was here. Yeah, that's Friday. That's Thursday. Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. So it was here, I think. So I think it was Tuesday into the bell. They came in a flurry. Make a long story short, they caught an upgrade the next day. I honestly wasn't impressed with the upgrade. It didn't excite me. The stock opened up flat, so that gave us an opportunity to get in for a day trade. That helped me out. And then had a nice rip higher. No tack-on activity or anything else. But again, that's just one of the group of activity that caught my eye this week for a trade. Other than that, here's that Fold. Where are we here? Let me move this out of the way. Okay, so Fold, basically, they bought the stock earlier in the year. Okay, in this range, you can see the circle here. And they caught this move. Now you have this little consolidation here and some really nice activity coming in. Okay, it is a biotech. I'm told they have something, a catalyst coming the end of September, and they were buying October and Jans. All right, so if the one knock on it would be, one, it's a biotech, two, there's a catalyst. That's two things I'm not a big fan of. But as far as off the order flow, and listen, I could have said that back here and had a big move, huge move. But as far as the order flow is concerned, the best on the board, hands down. It's the only aggressive buying out there. There really is. They're not buying anything else aggressively. All right, let me get to Friday's action. Here was Friday's action. Interesting name here. You guys know this name? MDXG? Mary David XG. Let's see. Anybody know this name? Let me get to the responses here so I can see. Anybody familiar? MDXG Mimidex Group? No? Hold on. Where's the question? All right, so basically what they did here, they sold 3,000 March, way out. March 12.5 puts. They hit the bid for $1.50 and 450 grand here. You never heard of it, George? Yeah, I'm not familiar with it either. Guess I thought maybe you guys sympathy play THC. They're in the same group, Joe. I don't know, but unusual put seller, excuse me. So that's bullish, okay, and pretty far out there, like March. So that's even more bullish. Takes in 450 grand. You know, you would like to see some sort of call buying. Just this confirmation that there's the upside there over the short term. But you always have to take notice, you know, when you see put sellers in names like this. Always. Okay, so yeah, the stock's been strong too. So that's why I'm asking if anybody's familiar with it. And by the way, that's another thing, okay? As far as the market's concerned, there's a lot of stuff out there that's already been wrecked. So I don't think they could take down everything. I really don't. I could be wrong, but I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that bottoms ahead of time. So that's something we can keep an eye out for, rotation. You know, those are the things if you are staying light, which you should be, and moving to the sidelines, those are the type of things you want to keep an eye out. Just because you're not fully invested doesn't mean you stop paying attention. You know, maybe you pick up on some major sector rotation because we haven't seen much of it yet. All right, so this MDXG, unusual wise guy put seller there. Pretty significant. THC, this was the second round of buying. I lost my thing here. They bought this the day before. I mentioned this in the steam room. The only reason I know they bought this Thursday, it was the lone call sweeper. That in the fold, right? Wasn't the fold they bought some? I don't think fold was a call sweeper though. THC was the lone call sweeper in November on Thursday. Friday morning into strength, they annihilated this thing. I didn't even play it because it was already up a buck. And I didn't want to chase any green. But you can see this thing was strong throughout the day and a lot of buying. This was the biggest order on the day, largest contract size, so September 15th. But there was quite a few of them. This was probably the best overall activity into weakness. Brunswick, BC. They started with December's early morning into weakness, and then they hit up some September's. There were quite a few of those as well. Let me show you. Hold on. What do they do with it here? Hold on. Oh, here it is. No. Oh, see, this is the THC, by the way. There was a sweeper, see, 815 on the bottom there. November 15s, decent size. And then they started up that early. Let me get the Brunswick. Hold on. Here's the Brunswick. This is what the sweeper activity looked like in the Brunswick. So you can see the biggest order on the day was the 2482 December 55s. And then look at all of these sweepers underneath that. So pretty aggressive activity into weakness. This thing got beat up in the last month or so, right? Yeah. So that's what that looks like. You know, again, may find a bottom. You had December action, which was, I guess, the best looking of the bunch. Some September in there as well, so that got it going on Friday. I don't know if you got, again, decent activity, but you got time there, you know, which you need time with a lot of these things. As far as, I think Nigerian pumped this too on CNBC, the action that caught his eye. But it was a grind. It was a real grind throughout the day. What else do we got? Where's my Twitter thing? I lost it. Oh, yeah. LNG. Oh, that was another thing that we noticed. Early morning, there was some decent energy flow. And that's another thing I got a couple questions on. Okay, there's a couple guys in the room, and they're actually decent. They're solid traders. They trade CL. You know, a lot of people were asking me, does the flow do anything for futures? Yeah. I mean, it's market sentiment, right? So if you're trading ES, you're trading on the overall market. Oil, you got to be a little more selective because you're not going to see as much energy flow as you're going to see as far as the overall market's concerned. And the thing is, too, you really got to be picky when it comes to that energy flow. You know, but if you're using it as an indicator with stuff you're looking at on your end, without a doubt. But the energy trader was actually pretty decent, too, yesterday in the morning. What happened was there was a couple of bets in the energy names. This LNG was one of them. This is on the. This is what it did the morning. You can see the pop here off the action and the grind. Here's what she looks like on a daily. Miserable. Well, could look worse. And here's the trade here too. 5,000 September 42 and a halves. That was a sweep. $380,000 bet. Not bad size. You know, LNG can catch some size though, but not bad. But what happened was you had that and you had this here on the bottom of the screen, RRC, and some ETF activity. The XOPs, the XLEs, all that stuff come into energy early morning. It was actually the best of the action early on, to be honest, and then got hot. You know, it was funny because I don't really trade futures. I was contemplating, you know, I wanted to make a play on energy because the flow was standing out. Like they were focusing on energy. And I was contemplating, what should I buy? This USO. I hate trading these things. You know, this USO is a molasses. And I just couldn't figure out what the hell I wanted to buy. And I missed this trade completely. The only thing I scalped was that RRC, which is an energy name. So, but yeah, that's again for the day. There was some interesting energy flow early morning. We really want to see that. We want to see them stick to that for anything more than that. You know, energy, the names and the sector, as far as swing trading, have been a disaster. We all know that. Smart money, dumb money, you name it, money has gotten steamrolled in energy. It happens. But as far as intraday momentum, it a lot better. A lot of these energy names that can move, you know, they've been decent movers intraday. So for an intraday move, a lot better than swing trading. So we had some energy flow with the LNG, RRC. This was a peculiar bet. A couple of guys in the room just took a stab just for shits and giggles because this came right before the bell. You see that? 15:59 Friday afternoon. And this guy decides to come in and put a bet on this. HXL. Anybody know this name? Industrial sector, aerospace, and defense. So they got the right group here. But yeah, look at this. He comes in at 3:59 and right before the bell and buys 2,000 September 55s, 37 cents. So, you know, again, not huge money, but this thing, you know, probably will never see a call buyer ever again in his life. So, interesting bet there. So here's how I'm playing it. A lot of guys took a shot anyway. That's probably a smart thing to do if you were going to play it. You know, you put on a small piece, you get lucky, you get lucky. But if there's nothing cooking Monday morning, this thing opens up flat or down, it will be on my screen. Sort of like that Paychex. You know, sort of like that Paychex was. Again, I got lucky there because it caught the upgrade and it wasn't even up. It was flat. It opened up. and we gave you the opportunity to play it for the day. No, Jim, I looked. It wasn't earnings unless I got the wrong date. I saw earnings in October, if I'm not mistaken. If there were earnings in HXL, trust me, I probably wouldn't even be talking about it right now. But there's a chance, double check, unless I got the wrong date. What, did you see a different date on earnings? But yeah, if I saw that it caught an earnings date, I wouldn't even be talking about it. So that's what caught my eye. You know, if it caught earnings, forget it. That's nothing. This is an earnings bet. The only reason it's on here is because it's a big bet. Best Buy, BBY. 4,500, it's not even a sweep, but 4,500, September 62.5. Anybody like this Best Buy? Well, they got earnings anyway. Here's a way, seriously, with earnings, like, listen, you're going to take your shot, the lottos, you play them, all right? I'm not here to preach. I'm tired of the preaching no earnings stuff, okay? Nobody listens anyway. But one thing also I've noticed, like, when a bet catches my eye, like, I'll give you a perfect example. Walmart caught a huge bet the day of earnings. You know, they came out with earnings the next day, the morning. Stock actually sold off. They didn't work out. But there was a big bet in this Walmart, and you had some nice weakness, a little bit of buying, not anything huge, the day of weakness. But sometimes you get the opportunity to buy, you know, at cheaper prices off the weakness. And, you know, so if you liked Walmart, okay, and liked the bet, let's say, you got lucky there. Earnings missed, you got weakness there, and you got in at a cheaper price. So that's the way I would approach it with these earnings plays. You know, outside of a lotto, again, if you're playing lottos, I'm not talking about that. But if you're trying to consistently make money off earnings, you're nuts. All right, so you could do it with the Best Buy too, but I'll tell you this: retail, all that, they always see call buying around earnings, especially when they've been shorted like they've been over the past couple of months. Those are shorts, a lot of times just hedging their short positions. So I wouldn't get wrapped up in earnings. Like I said, if anything, take a look after earnings. You got some weakness, you might have an entry there. All right, so Best Buy, they caught a decent sized bet, September 62.5. The RRC I mentioned, that was part of the energy trade. So this is the majority of the action. Honestly, if you look at the times of all these bets, outside of this HXL, everything was in the morning. The flow went dead into the afternoon. A lot of rolling out of positions. There was a big expiration, August expiration yesterday. So a lot of positions rolling out, and some protection sprinkled in. So the call buying set up a decent opportunity in the morning. The afternoon really had nothing. All right, let's talk. What names you guys got? Anybody got any names? And listen, understand when you're in this type of market, when the market goes south, like on a Thursday, chances are it's going to take a lot of it with it. So I don't care how good a name may look, what kind of bet it caught. You know, if you got selling across the board, it's going to go down with it. May bounce back quicker. Jim, LNG, yeah, listen, when it comes to these energy names, Jim, they're tough, man. They're tough. You know, so you probably have a better answer for yourself than I do. I'm being honest with you. There was some decent energy flow, and it's gotten completely run over because the price of crude. So I'm not a big fan of energy, and just in general. For me, here's the thing, Jim, and this probably makes sense to you. If I'm going to buy an energy name, I might as well just make a play on crude. No? Like, I run the risk that crude rallies. My energy name may not rally, but 10 out of 10 times when crude gets hammered, it takes down every energy stock with it. Yeah, so that's what I don't like about energy. Now, LNG has fared a little bit better, even though it's been weak of late. But, you know, are you looking for, let me ask you this, Jim, are you looking for just a bounce, or are you looking to make a play off the Septembers, right? Just for a quick bounce? Yeah, I mean, you probably could see a bounce. I've seen worse. You probably could see a quick bounce. I wouldn't get too greedy there, though. I wouldn't get too greedy. Chuck is talking Baba. Yeah, Baba. The flow's crazy in Baba. The flow's crazy in Baba. There was actually Flow Friday morning. That was another name I was pissed off. I didn't trade it at all, but it had that rapid fire sweeper activity and had a nice move. I didn't trade it though because I can't trade Baba up here. You know, listen, if you get Baba weakness and you see some call sweeper activity, like I said, there probably will be trades in this type of market. In other words, you'll have Baba down 3. If you see call sweepers come into that, you know, you get a reversal of $1.50, $2 inside a half hour. I mean, that's a trade, no? Other than that, you know, what do you want me to tell you about Baba here? You're going to buy up here, start a new position? I couldn't do that. You know? I couldn't do that. I would just look to quick trades when there's flow into weakness. But yeah, Baba had a ton of flow. Let me see if I could, hold on a second. Excuse me. Maybe you weren't even looking for an opinion. I mean, you're probably just interested in the flow. Hold on. It's gotta be, I could do this on my phone a lot quicker. This is the good thing about private Twitter in general. Where are we here? Let me go to latest. So yeah, you can see here all the action. August 18th, was that Friday? What's today's date? Yeah, that's Friday. Yeah, so you can see there, and listen, they're rolling out calls. Okay, the majority of flow in Baba is definitely rolling out and up. I'm not saying that everything is, but the majority of it is. Okay, but what I have noticed, when there's a cluster of buying or sweepers that come in, it will create some momentum. Even if it is rolling, if there's enough of buying coming in, it will create some momentum. You know, so Chuck, you got to understand, anytime you get a move like this, okay, and the name has seen a ton of activity, they're always rolling. So, and rolling, yes, is what you mentioned, a form of profit taking, a form of it. Okay, it's not equivalent to them taking profit, selling it all, right? That's what they do. They take profit along the way. You know, we've been talking about that in Micron too, Chuck, remember? You know, that's how they play it, man. They're so good at it, Chuck. It's not easy. I've tried it. It's not easy. You need a lot of patience, and you got to be willing to let but you got to be willing to let a chunk of your profits go under at the end. That's, I think, the hardest part. You come to that conclusion no matter what before it even happens. Yeah. Chuck is saying they know how to lose at the end, you know, and let it go at the end. It's not easy to do. But, you know, from my experience, Chuck, again, I'm talking wise guy flow, okay, because I don't look at anything else. When you have a name that has caught that much action, I mean, Baba, you can ask members, has the board was annihilated with Baba call buying. Okay, as a lot of things, but Baba in particular. Up here now is just, it's not the smartest thing. You know, like a Micron or like any other name, Amazon, any of those names, you want a pullback, you will get it. It may go a little higher before that. You will get some sort of consolidation pullback. Trust me. It will come. And that's, in other words, that's what you want to wait for. Otherwise, like I said, I don't know, Chuck, answer me this, and I'm curious now. I've been asking a lot of people this. When you ask about Baba, what are you interested in? Like, you're looking at Baba right now as what? A quick trade? You're looking to tuck it away long term, swing it? What are you looking to do with it? I'm just curious. You know, that, I think, the answer to that, long swing, yeah, I wouldn't. Yes, I would wait. Weakness, my friend, no pullbacks. That's what you want to do. Yeah, I would wait till for a pull, Chuck, and then start pullbacks. Oh, okay. So you already own it. Yeah. In other words, if you had that and you're holding it longer term, I would hold it, Chuck. I wouldn't add to it. Okay. You add on weakness. See that? You see right there, like I had to get that information before even I can give my opinion. I could have told him sell it tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, he wants to hold on to it longer term. Yeah, that's why you can't just the symbols and my opinion don't do any good unless I know what the hell your intentions are. All right, what do we got here? Do I look at any VIX products? Yeah, VXX, UVXY. I really don't follow VIX that much because there's a lot of size, a lot of hedging. So I really don't follow VIX itself. UVXY, VXX flow, I do follow. For me, when I see, that's another thing. Friday morning, we saw VXX put sweepers. Okay, August put sweepers. So they were expiring that same day. Okay, but again, that told me that they were playing for that squeeze. I wish I could, I'd probably take too much time digging it up, but all the flow Friday morning, I would say 70% of it on the call side, sweeper action, was all in August expiration. Is that crazy? All in August expiration. All right, what do we got? Do I hedge? No, I don't hedge, Jordan, because I'm quick. But again, hedging is fine and prudent. But one thing I will mention to you, I think it's smarter to hedge when everybody else is not. You understand? Just like anything else. So when we were talking about how, you know, we were getting into August, it was the beginning of August, and the market now is a time to where you start worrying about your risk, use strength to take off risk, take some profit. You know, if you're looking to get long of anything, size down. This is not the time to ante up. You know, that would be a time where you look to put on some protection. You don't want to do it after the Dow, after the Dow tumbles 300 points. And you see, Jordan, like, again, that's what I look for in sentiment. And I'm not picking on you. That's you, me, and everybody else. But when we're all looking and focusing on protection at the same time, what usually happens? You know, it's already done. It's already done. Yeah. They squeeze you. And then, you know, the next time you probably won't take protection. And then they'll hit you over the head. By the way, the put the call, again, this is just a volume ratio. We look at a couple other things, but was elevated. Definitely elevated. And you can see here, some of my other ones that I look at are even stronger than this. So even, again, for me, any weakness that I see buying come into, I'm looking to get long. And if you're looking for that quick squeeze play, I would be focused on the same thing. Okay? Anything beyond that, guys, I would take a nice and easy approach and piece in and just make sure you have enough time. Okay? Just make sure you have enough time. So, like, you know, there's names out there. You got Google's, Amazon's, Netflix. These things had pulled back some, you know, before this started. Somebody asked about Netflix, by the way. There were a couple of small sweeps for I traded Netflix Friday. Got a nice rip out of it. Faded with everything else late, but that was in the morning again. Right here, you can see. That had a nice rip. Let me get those Netflix sweepers for you. Nothing big, don't trust me. But they're for next week, and I can see the logic in Netflix. Where is it? Netflix. You can see, here's the total action. There were small sweeps. What made me sell Netflix? Just because I got what I wanted quickly. You know what I mean, Jordan? What? What are you saying? What made me trade Netflix? Yeah. Basically, Netflix, and it was actually up, but Netflix is a name I'm always, I don't know, it's one of the names, the high beta names that I like to trade. I don't really trade Tesla too much. You know what I mean? The pricier ones. Netflix, I don't know. I've had success with Netflix. And anytime you go into a period like this, when there's call sweepers, usually you get decent momentum. Now, for a swing trade, you don't want to force the issue, is what I'm saying. You know, you want it to be decent sweeper activity at the least. Would I say this was decent? They were small. You know, they were small. But for me, with all the flow that we were seeing Friday morning, okay, and sentiment being extremely bearish, okay, the squeezometer was a thing we look at, you guys know, was in the green zone, which means look for an entry if you see flow. So those sweepers were worthy of a day trade, yeah. Yes. And Jordan, that's another, I'm glad you asked that question, because he's asking, is the small enough worthy of a day trade? It depends. You know, it depends. Like Friday morning, the small Netflix sweepers with the rest of the call sweeper activity we were seeing, with sentiment being extremely bearish, signaling a high probability squeeze, with VXX put sweeper action that expired yesterday, you know, the whole ball of wax, sure, that was worth a trade. You understand? Now, it depends. So, in other words, if those small sweepers come in, I don't know, and the stock is up 4 already, I probably don't even touch it, you know? Or if the market's getting destroyed, the Dow's down 300, and the Netflix call sweeper, that little small sweeper, is the only thing we see on the bullish side, I'm not trading it. You understand? I'm not trying to get too technical with you, but, you know, it is what it is. If you want to avoid all that, and that's all stuff that comes with feel, you know, as you watch the flow, you get a feel for that stuff. But if you want to avoid getting technical, you stick to the better activity. That's all. It's a simple answer, you know? It's a simple answer. Don't worry about missing winners, and just stick to the better activity. The better activity you can't miss. You can't miss. You can't miss it. Okay? You cannot miss it. You know, again, it's a pig, but BC with some of the better looking activity. All right, they were Decembers, but I'm giving you an example because I have nothing to compare it to because of the lack of good activity. But BC had solid activity. Teva had solid activity. You understand? Again, these may not be names you like. I'm just giving you an example. You know, the Fold had really solid activity. PG, that's been the best activity we've seen in a month now. You understand? So, and the best way that I tell members to get a feel for it is, you know, that's the beauty of audio and video now, makes it a lot easier. When I label something quality, you know, try to understand why. You know what I mean? Look at the flow and see why. Okay? Like I showed you that screenshot of the BC. What did I do with it? Let me show you so you can get an idea. Now, that's why this was better activity. Okay? Netflix caught 2 of these, and it's Netflix. Brunswick caught all this. You understand the difference now? You know, this, in other words, if this happened in Netflix, I would say, yeah, it's worth a, yeah. Listen, I think it's worth a swing anyhow, maybe off this action, but I'm saying if you like the spot. But the example I'm trying to show you is if the activity in Netflix looked like this, then Netflix would be worth a shot for a day trade without a doubt, but maybe even worth a swing because it's showing you that aggressive buying, you know what I mean, coming in. Somebody mentioned sweepers plus HFT. What's it? HFT? What's that? High frequency? Yeah, what is he saying? But, you know, a lot of times we'll see these, Jordan, and they're not even humans. They're algos firing, you know what I mean? Again, for momentum intraday, still gets the job done. Are sweepers? Yeah, well, sweepers without a doubt, Max. No, you know, there's a lot of. I mean, honestly, I have a pretty decent eye that I could tell which definitely look like algo sweeps. But even the ones that I can't tell, a lot of them are algo sweeps. Yeah. That's why you see them tripping over themselves when they're buying. You know what I mean? They just keep coming with these small sweeps. We see it in Baba. We'll see it like in an Apple a lot. You know, where Apple, you'll see one sweep, another sweep, another sweep, then another sweep. You know what I mean? They just continuously come one after the other. And, you know, that's a great spot to get in if you're a day trader. You know, you want to get in that early stage because those sweepers are going to create momentum. That's the thing, guys, and I think is the biggest misinterpretation of the stuff I follow, sweeper activity. If you look at it that way, it gets so much easier, so much clearer. Sweepers equal momentum. You understand? That's it. Sweepers equal momentum. Don't get hung up on the bet. Don't get hung up on any of that shit. You know, for me, when I day trade, okay, when I see a sweep come into a name, okay, the way I interpret it is there is a high probability, a higher probability now that there will be momentum in Netflix. You understand? That's what the sweeper tells me. Then another sweeper comes in. Then another sweeper comes in. What am I taking from that? Now, there's even a higher probability of momentum coming into Netflix. Then another sweeper comes in. Then another, you understand what I'm saying? I'm not getting hung up on the bets. The only thing I'm looking at the bets, obviously I'm looking, at the dollar amount and all that, but I'm saying for trading purposes, I look at the dates to tell me when those sweeps may be expecting that momentum to come in. Okay? So if they expire that day, obviously that player is expecting the momentum to come now. All right, so that's the way to interpret it. Chris is saying what happens when two sweepers contradict each other. They rarely do. Well, no, actually, Chris, you're right. You're probably saying two different orders. So, in other words, we see that a lot in ETFs. Okay, there'll be a call sweeper, and then collusion, and then there's a put sweeper, right? And that's common because we're not watching one player. We're watching all the aggressive activity in the options market. There's different opinions, okay? It doesn't happen as much as you think in individual names, okay? Sometimes you'll see a big buyer in IBM and then he'll buy some puts to protect. You understand? But it doesn't happen as much, Chris, in individual names. When you see it in individual names, it either means we're in earnings season and it catches earnings, or the flow is just awful. And it has been awful of recent certain times. But I wouldn't worry about that because it doesn't happen often. All right? And it depends. Like I said, if there's a ton of call sweeper activity and then you see one put sweeper, they're protecting longs. So you're going to see, again, if you're talking about just put action, Chris, that's a different story. If you're talking about aggressive, in other words, you're not going to see aggressive call sweeper activity come into a name and then all of a sudden there's aggressive put sweeper coming into the name, unless the name has moved already that much. Micron, Chris is bringing up as an example, Micron has call sweeper activity for the past 9 months every single day. So when they're buying puts, they're protecting, usually the short term, they're protecting those longs. Ranchero saying, Jay, I'm a swing trader. When I take a position and get a pop, whoop, where'd it go? I lost him. Hang on, I lost your thing. Somebody spoke and I lost it. When I take a position and get a pop, sometimes I roll up, sell some premium, and buy a few puts, like win. I killed that last week. My question is, how do I know if these wise guys who are also swinging have hit their targets? Oh, Ranchero, you're not going to like the answer. It's nearly impossible. It's nearly impossible. Because the problem is, Ranchero, we don't even know what's going on behind the scenes. You see what you do? Because obviously you know what you're doing. You played the game. You're using different strategies. So you could just imagine what they're doing behind the scenes. They could be shorting the stock. God knows what they do. So the way I tell all my members the best way to do it, okay, is once you've made the determination to take action off Wise Guy Flow, that trade now, like you do, Ranchero, falls into your game plan and goes to your rules. Do not get hung up on the bet. Do not get hung up on open interest. Oh, the position's still in open interest. I wouldn't even pay attention to that stuff. Because we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. And I've seen a lot of players mangle profitable trades because they try to mirror these guys. And you just can't. Right? You can't. You can't roll every time they roll. You can't add into weakness every time they add into weakness. So, again, if you interpret the activity the way I'm stressing you should, almost as an indicator, but a powerful one at that, and trade according to your risk management and your plan, you're likely to find a lot of success if you can do that. But Ranchero, from what you're telling me, and like I said, you sound like you're well informed and know what the hell you're doing, I would not deviate from what you're doing. to try to copycat any of them, any of their trades. I think you're on the right path right there, especially if you're finding success. No reason. And listen, the more flow you see in the name, maybe you want to give that trade a longer leash. That's a different story. I still would raise stops or, take off risk into strength and all that stuff. But I wouldn't, I have to ask you here because I can't get your attention in the room. What? What do you mean you can't get my attention in the room? How can you get my attention in the room? Now, see what I mean? What's, oh, stop it. What's your handle? I answer everybody. Ranchero? How come? I don't recognize. See that? I don't even recognize you two. But come on. I never ignore you. Stop that. But now I'll make it my business to, you got to put at Wall Street Jesus in the room. Otherwise, I don't know if you even, you do. I think you're creating stories here. But yeah, so that's Ranchero. I wouldn't deviate to what you're doing right now. Try to mirror them any differently. That's the approach I would take. So like the Netflix. Okay, let's say Netflix is at a level where you think you could get a decent balance for a trade. You use that small sweeper activity at Friday as confirmation. There may be some momentum that comes into the name. Maybe there's more sweepers that show up Monday. That could happen. So if it's at a level you like and you're using that as an indication to buy, you buy Netflix, and now it goes according to your plan. You understand? Your stops, your upside targets, everything like that. What's Max saying? Does the exchange matter where the flow is coming from? No, I mean, sweepers are sweeping multiple exchanges, so that's the significance in that. All the rest of the blocks, I try not to get too excited over in general anyway, But he makes a good point. I haven't really even looked at it enough, Max, to be honest. Max is mentioning like maybe ARCA, there's more shorting there, so it could be hedging. That's again, goes back to my point. Sweepers, you don't have to worry about that. So if it's a sweep, they're sweeping multiple exchanges, and it's an aggressive order. So there's no reason to ask that question. Blocks in general, Max, I'm always leery of blocks. Always. And not to say that they never worked out and can't be useful. I'm just saying that that's the significance in sweeper activity. What names? Any other names here? So yeah, as far as action that I've seen, okay, that sharp label, the only one is that fold. That's the only one. And I told you if I always try to do that. I always try to find the negative out of it, right? Earnings, an event. But that would be the negative, again, biotechs. They're always dangerous because you got FDA and all that out of left field. So you got to always be careful if you're trading the equity on these things. I always recommend if you're trading biotech, small cap, without a doubt, put in what you're willing to lose in the calls. They played Jan, they played Octobers. And like I said, somebody mentioned that they have the catalyst coming the end of September, so you could probably get away with Octobers. And the thing is, don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you to play for that catalyst. I'm telling you that if there's a known catalyst with this type of activity, market permitting, the market doesn't get chopped in pieces, though you most likely could see a run prior. Similar to what they did the last time, if you remember. They accumulated here, a big size then too, back here. And you got this move even before that catalyst. You know, so this was roughly 8, a little under 8, and got to over 10. So that's a nice move there. And then ultimately got to 14, but you would have had to roll the dice. Yeah, but the action looks good. Other than that, I got to go back to PG. You know, they've been really aggressive in this thing. Really aggressive. Now, she's higher. I wouldn't chase it. So that's spilled milk now. But they started buying that down here. And, you know, everything else has been pretty much quick trades. We had that COL that had that buyout rumor. That was nice. The charter, by the way, charter, they pushed everything out to December now in charter. All right, so here's where they started buying the charter. I leave these circles there so I remember. That was the day they started buying charter in size. Nice lift. Then there was even more activity here. Got a big pop. More activity into this pull. They got another pop. And now they're pushing everything to December. But this chart has been an animal. What else? Flow is bullish on Avgo. Yes, but you got earnings. That's the problem. And you have earnings. There's quite a few names that the flow is decent, but you have earnings. You know, you got CRM earnings still coming. You got Splunk, which caught some decent action. Their earnings still coming. You know, so you got a lot of stuff. I'm probably forgetting a couple. There was so many of them. So many. Oh, SWKS. It's just, I'm a big fan of this stock. I'm a big fan of this stock. Caught some small sweeper activity Friday afternoon. I actually day traded it, and I ended up losing 10 cents. Didn't really go anywhere. The market was selling too. Had this little move and then rolled over into the bell. What else? I'm trying to think some smaller activity. But SWKS, did they report yet? No, yeah, they reported, right? Amazon, nothing really. I think Amazon and Google both caught November buying, from what I've seen. Mike is saying order flow like Amazon next week's 965 puts. They were small orders, then a large sell order. What is the likelihood they're connected, or the likelihood they are sold to open? Was the bet open? You know what I mean? Was it opening activity larger than open interest? 965. Let me see here. Hold on. I could probably find it for you in a sec. Yeah, but usually we see that a lot. That's another benefit to the sweeper activity. I know you guys are probably sick of me saying that by now, but so many times we'll see small sweepers piecing in, and then boop, there comes a big order. You know, and again, you can scalp that all day long. You know, sometimes we see small sweepers front running the big blocks. That's what they're doing. They're front running the big buyers coming in. It's ridiculous. All right, let me see Amazon. You're talking about Friday now? Friday, let's see. I don't see any big order in Amazon. 1308? The time of the trade? I see the volume there. Oh, 965 puts. What does he say? Let me see, 1 second. 186. Oh. Oh, that's not Friday, is it? I don't see it Friday, Bob. Friday, the overall activity Friday got all August. What month are you saying? What month? August 25th weeklies? And what was the volume? How much? How many of them? All I see in Amazon, oh, 186? Let me see. I'll tell you right now. I thought you said 10,000. That's why I was looking. Hold on. 186. Oh, 188. Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. He closed those puts. He closed them. Is that what you're saying? 1080, yeah. 965 puts closed. I got it right here. So he closed them. Hold on, I'll put it for you. Did I do that right? All right, let me see. I missed a couple questions. Teva, George is asking about Teva. That's a crazy stock. There was a ton of put activity. Then they sprinkled in some small Jan buying. But there's a lot of news around that stock, George. Wow, you like the dangerous names, huh? What are you looking for? Squeeze? You're looking for a squeeze out of it, I guess? Yeah, I haven't seen, George, to be honest, I haven't seen enough activity call side for me to get excited about a squeeze there yet. I see the logic there and what you're looking for, but I haven't seen it yet. I saw some Jan buying, but there was a lot of put action. What else we got? ENDP, I saw a little bit of, whatchamacallit, a little bit of buying there too in ENDP. But you know what it is? It's tough with these names. You know, the Teva, the ENDP, you really want to see a lot of action there because how could you determine if shorts aren't just hedging? That's what I mean. And you know me, I don't even care about that excuse a lot of times. But in names like this, especially names that have seen put activity, you got to be careful when you see a little call buying come in. You know, you really want to be convinced that the flow is starting to turn there. And you may miss a squeeze, but otherwise those names are too tough. Leonard saying the Jan buyer is underwater by 50% in Teva already. Well, there you go. There you go. Again, Leonard, we don't even know if he's bullish. He could be bearish, sitting on a huge short position. No? We don't know. You know, and again, listen. Remember what I said. When sweepers come in, the more that come in, the greater the probability of momentum showing up. All right, so even if they are aggressively sweeping calls and that's shorts hedging, even if it's shorts hedging, if they're aggressively sweeping call side, that's still going to create momentum. Okay, so that's why I don't like to use the hedging excuse. But when you see the board lit up in red with Teva put sweepers, and then all of a sudden there's a Jan call buyer, you know, is that enough off the float to switch the momentum? You know what I mean? It may do it, but it may not be the flow that is the catalyst for it. Max is asking how long they hold these options. I have no idea. And I wouldn't look at open interest to determine that either. That means nothing. You know, a lot of times, though, the names that catch repeat activity, the Microns, the Babas, what they do is roll up and roll out, and they will continue to do that. That's how they benefit and ride the trend. Micron, they've been doing it masterfully, if that's a word. From here, pop, right? So let's say again, in simple English, they're buying here in October, November. Let's say they're buying Jans, right? They get this pop, okay? They bought the Jan 18s. They sell those. They put some money in their pocket, and they go out to March and buy the 20s. They get a pop. They sell those. They put some profit in their pockets. They sell the Feb 20s, and they go into March 22s. Pop. They sell those. They go out to June and buy the 24s. Pop. They sell the, you understand? And they will continue to do that until that last batch goes under. You understand? But along the way, they're taking profit. And it seems like each and every roll, you know, they put more and more profit in their pocket. So, in other words, what people don't realize, you'll see Micron, somebody buy 20,000 October 35 calls, right? But he sold 10,000 September 30 calls. Okay? And if you do the math, the premium he put into the new position is half the amount of what he closed the initial position for. So it doesn't look like they're taking profit. A lot of people misinterpret it as a ton of buying, new buying, but it's not. Yes, Max, exactly. You know, so, I mean, that's the way they roll, no pun intended. And it's, if you can do it, it's a great strategy, but it's not easy to do because, like we were discussing earlier, you already are making, you come to the understanding that the last batch you roll inevitably will go south. So you're making money along the way, but the money you made up till here, you're willing to give back a piece of it. You're willing to participate. You're willing to take the risk of riding this trend even further by giving up that last batch you put in. But they do it over and over and over again, and they do it. It's unbelievable. It really is. But yeah, they got a lot of ammo, you know. Yeah, Max, and that's the thing. Max is saying you grab 33% on a 20. I mean, I think a lot of traders, especially in the option world, get all junked up on these crazy percentage gains. It's a fallacy. You know, even, I'm not saying you can't see 500%. Okay, you can't see it. But net, you know, your net number is not going to be up 3,000% as an options trader. It's just not going to happen. You know, you're going to have some big winners along the way. You're going to have some small winners. You're going to have some losses. And when you tally them all up, if you're up 40, 50%, you should crack a bottle open. If you're, and I couldn't believe this, I told you guys this last week, I came across some traders, yeah, I'm not going to blow them up, but members that were like, oh yeah, you know, I'm like, did you make some money in this recent rally or what? Yeah, but I got caught on the last position. I'm only up 65%. I'm only up 65%. I'm only up 65%. Amazing. Talk again. There's more risk, but you talk that even on the equity side. You're trading equities. You're up 25%. You're a hero. I don't think people understand that. So listen, you get lucky at times. There'll be some big winners, but you have to have a realistic approach. You've heard me mention that a ton of times, guys. If without a realistic approach, that's where you get into trouble because it's never enough. It's never enough. Like I said, I'm just thinking of examples. Tesla Friday, Netflix Friday. If you were in those trades and the profits weren't enough because you wanted more, you're not being realistic. You're in a different environment. You're in a choppy environment. If the market just gave you 50% on the calls you just bought an hour ago, what's wrong with that? Is anything wrong with that? Take it. Take it. And then eventually, after this consolidation, correction, whatever comes out of it is over, and we start a whole new bull leg higher, you're going to make some decent money, just like most of you have made. I'm sure a lot of people have made money in this bull run. But the people who are not going to be profitable are the people who are playing the same way they played out of here, up here. You can't do it. You're right. Ranchero's saying if you're not taking profit some sort of way, rolling up, putting on protection, protecting those profits, yeah, and you give it all back, you deserve it. You deserve those beatings because they will teach you a lesson. And you're going to hear from a lot of people on Twitter, on social media, let your winners run. They're trading a different game, okay? They're probably not trading options. They're probably trading the trend. They're different players than you. If you're an active trader, you actively have to take your profits when you have them. You can't expect 1,000% return off every position. You may say, all right, you know what? This is initial activity in I don't know, I'm going to fold. This one I'm going to give a little leash to. I bought some Jan calls. I'm not going to take that 30, 40, 50% profit off the table. I got a ton of time, but I'm willing to risk it because this is something I think can be bigger than just a trade. Everything else is just a trade. You can't expect to come into the market on any given day, every day, and find something bigger than just a trade. The market doesn't just spit out huge winners and opportunities every single day. So you're looking to trade, and then selectively, you come across a handful of opportunities that you may take a shot on and give up that trade for something bigger. Yeah, and Max, listen, if I listened to what the noise I heard throughout my trading career, and that was let all your winners run, I'd be on the street corner with a cup. For me, for my style. That can't apply to me. Because that means all the stuff that I took profit on, which pretty much has been my bread and butter throughout my career, 85% of that I wouldn't have profited from. So whatever I let run, that one or two big winners had to be big enough to make up for all the rest of the shit. So yeah, I mean, again, you got to have a plan. I try to stay away from pushing on any one style or any one game plan because everybody's different. I don't know what you guys are doing. Some of you may be investors. You're looking to invest. You're looking to, again, it could be off wise guy activity. You're looking for the best flow out there and you're looking to tuck away a couple of names long term. That's a different plan for that. That's a different plan. Maybe selectively you're looking for high risk, high reward opportunities that you're putting in a small amount of money and you're willing to lose all that you put in. So a stop loss doesn't apply to you, right? So everyone's telling you should put stops on everything. How does that make sense if that's not your strategy? You got to figure out what applies to you. All right, anybody else have any questions before we wrap it up here? So again, just very simply put, we're going into a period of time where no matter what you see, red or green out there on that particular day, you should be more concerned with what you have at risk than the money you're going to make. That should be your number one goal. Okay? I wouldn't have the audacity to tell anybody not to play because I'm a degenerate myself, but you take it nice and easy, you play light, so if you get hit, it's not knocking you out of the game, and the sun will come out again. In the meantime, if you can be quick, nimble, especially off the flow and sentiment, there are opportunities there for a quick trade, stuff, movement that we wouldn't see in 2-3 weeks, you can get in an hour. All kidding aside, in an hour. NVIDIA can flush $5-6 in a day, open up, gap down another 2, and then all of a sudden call sweepers come in that morning and you get a $5 rip. It moves fast. And if it's too fast, and I want to stress it too, the flow can move fast. So in other words, we can see put sweepers early in the day and then all of a sudden they'll call sweepers into the close. So be ready for that. Expect that. If it's too quick for you, move to the sidelines and wait. That's all. Max has a good question. Travis Henry or Marshawn Lynch? I can't believe fantasy football is here already. Marshawn Lynch, how many times did he retire already? I'll go Henry. Only once? No, it was more than that. Young is saying, what's the retail sentiment? I know you might have covered it. Basically, it's sentiment in the options market I like to look at that's not professional money. In other words, not sweeper activity. Smaller lots, non-sweepers. So when that type of activity is getting a little too carried away on the put side, that stresses to me that people are leaning to the one side too heavily. They're betting on downside. And throughout my experience, when that happens, there's a high probability of a squeeze coming around the corner. Squeeze doesn't mean bottom, a tradable rally. So you can see on the bottom of the screen, I don't know if you can make it out, but this is just a simple put to call. And you can see there's a green line here that I pretty much look for a spike above that. And, you get a short-term bottom, tradable rally out of it. You know, sometimes they're bigger, like this was a real nice rally. Sometimes, you know, they're a little bit smaller. You know, they may be the next couple days. But usually when a put to call remains elevated, as you can see here, I don't know if you can make that out though. This is the right before the election. It marks major bottoms. Because one thing the market doesn't like to do, guys, doesn't like to pay people on the downside. It doesn't. So even if a market is heading lower, there will be huge squeezes along the way. And I think that's what is going to happen here. You know, even if we're heading lower, I don't know. We could be. It's definitely a possibility. You know, but like this, you know, here, market sentiment got extreme. Everybody betting on downside. Boop, run over. Look where put the call went after that. Everybody shook out of their puts. Right? Then the market washed again. Coincidentally, when nobody had on the protection. So the same thing's going to happen here. We're really close already. You know, a lot of the stuff I look at got there already, signaling a short-term squeeze, which we got Friday. In my eyes, that was a short-term squeeze. But you want to see, you know, this thing up higher to signal that they got them all caught. All right, ladies, be good, Jim. Always good to see you. Yeah, Jason, this is TC2000, but you can find a put the call anywhere, Jay. What do you use? I'll give you the symbol. What do you want, Jason? Thinkorswim, $, PCALL, P-call. Mike is saying, can the Steam Room be accessed through mobile? Yeah, Mike, I do a lot of stuff from my phone. A lot. The only thing I'm not too sure about is the iPad. Safari always gives, that's why I can't use iPad or iPhone. Safari gives me issues with a lot of things I use. But, yeah, you can access it through mobile. And again, all the Steam Room members, you get, yeah, Joe's saying he's on mobile 100% of the time. He's a member. You get private Twitter included in your membership. So that's why I put a lot of stuff on there. A lot of people who are members who go away and stuff like that, they use private Twitter a lot because it's, you know, it's clean. I mean, Twitter's cool for that stuff. So I'll post the top action, sentiment stuff, the open interest changes in the morning. So if you're on the road, Mike, you know, private Twitter, if you have access to Twitter, will be fine. You can access the room as well. But if you're looking for the alerts and all, you can find them all here. You know, unusual call activity, I'll give updates. I mean, the biggest difference between the Steam Room and just private Twitter, because again, we offer just private Twitter if you're looking to get a feel for the flow and so forth for a more affordable price, but is the audio video, guys. That's, you know, the audio video and sharing strategies. Like there's other traders in there trading off the flow. Lucci, I mean, Lucci was all over that Tesla trade. A lot of guys, oh, wrong thing. A lot of guys caught it, you know? A lot of guys caught it. So, yeah, you got a lot of traders who know how to play the game. And you can see here, this is the live. So basically, I'm sharing the TC2000 to put the call and all that, and the charts as the action comes in, and sharing my opinion, commentary, giving color on the action, what action's sharp, what action's aggressive, what action may be earnings related, not worth it, stuff like that. You know, so you can adjust the screen and put it where you want. We also got a heat map on the bottom here. What we're working on doing is putting put the core that I look at here and the squeezometer. So you can switch between the heat map and the put the calls in real time. You know, so you have access to that. But you got the heat map that pretty much can give you an idea of sentiment. You know, you click on technology, tells you what names, or how many bets, the dollar amount, what type of flow, bullish, bearish. You know, so give you an idea of rotation that comes in handy. Yeah, Jason's like come a long way in a year and a half. Yeah, let me tell you something. Technology, and I'm technology illiterate, can be a real pain in the ass. But I got to give credit where credit's due. The Sang Lucci crew has really put some cool shit together. And there's a lot more cooking. There's a lot more cooking. It takes time, some of the stuff we're working on. Eventually, what we want to do is get where you can just put your mouse over the alert and basically get more information on that name and get some sort of like color coordination, almost, I hate to say it, like the terror alert. You know the terror alert where red, yellow, you know what I mean? And get an idea of how hot the activity may be in comparison to some of the others. So you can walk into the steam room on any given day saying, oh man, SPY caught a call sweeper. Let me take a look at the rest of the action around it and basically get a quick synopsis of the top action out there. Bob is saying, is the heat map available for freeloaders? No, it's not. It's not, Bob. Yeah, what's still available is the market update section, and from what I'm told, it's not going to be available too long for free. So, but we'll see what happens there. Yeah, thanks, Ranchero. Everybody, have a good weekend. Good luck next week. Stay patient. Keep an eye on your risk. And we'll see what Jason's saying. If we purchase Master Program, is there any special for room? Yeah, I think you get a free month. I think you get a free month, Jay. Any questions, Jay? Let me put it out there so you guys know, because especially during market hours in the week, I'm pretty swamped. But you can email Seth with any questions on any of the stuff, okay? And he'll get right back to you. All right, guys. Thanks for coming out. Have a great weekend. And we'll talk next week again. All right? Have a good weekend, everybody.